Eli's heart raced as he stepped off the transport shuttle onto the landing platform of New Solaria, the newest human colony on the edge of the Andromeda sector. The air smelled faintly metallic. Mixed with the scent of alien flora, the scientists had tried to replicate from Earth's gardens. Everything looked alive, yet strange. The sunlight glinted off the silver domes of the colony's buildings, and the sky had a soft, green hue. For a moment, he forgot himself and just stared. "Focus, Eli," he muttered under his breath. He adjusted his flight jacket nervously. Today wasn't just any day. Today, he would attend the annual colony social, a gathering of both human settlers and the native alien descendant families who had lived here for generations. It was a chance to meet people, but for Eli, it was more than that. It was a chance to prove himself. Eli had a reputation for being impulsive. He joked too much, laughed too loudly, and sometimes didn't think before he spoke. His mother had warned him countless times about getting into trouble with the colony elders. But Eli didn't care. He liked to live in the moment, and somehow, that had always worked for him. Until now. The shuttle doors opened, and Eli walked down the ramp into the sprawling plaza. Families mingled, talking in a mix of human and alien languages. Strange musical instruments created soft, haunting sounds that Eli couldn't identify. Everything seemed peaceful, but he sensed an undercurrent of tension. The human settlers were still outsiders in the eyes of many native families. He spotted Kale immediately. Kale was the son of one of the oldest families in the colony. He had smooth, green-tinted skin, bright amber eyes, and a calm, almost intimidating presence. Kale was everything Eli was not: quiet, composed, and deliberate in every movement. Eli had met him a few times before, but they had never really spoken. And now, he would. Eli squared his shoulders and walked toward Kale. He rehearsed his introduction in his head, but somehow, the words came out all wrong when he opened his mouth. "Hey, your mom." Eli started awkwardly, then paused. He couldn't stop himself. "She's prettier than any girl I've ever dated." For a moment, silence. Birds or whatever alien creatures hovered in the sky stopped chirping. Eli's stomach dropped. He expected outrage, anger, or at least a sharp glare. Instead, Kale's mother smiled. It wasn't a quick, polite smile. It was calm, warm, understanding, a smile that seemed to say, "I understand you more than you realize." Eli blinked. His brain short-circuited. Kale, on the other hand, looked like he might explode. His amber eyes widened, and he took a small step back. "What? Did you just say?" he asked, voice tight. Eli's face turned red. I mean, it was a joke?" he stammered. "Just a joke." The woman's smile did not waver. "I know," she said gently. "And I like your honesty." Eli's jaw dropped. She likes it? He had expected scolding, embarrassment, maybe even tears. But her smile was serene, almost as if she were happy to hear it. Kale's jaw clenched, and he muttered something under his breath in his native tongue. The words were soft, but Eli thought he heard a hint of disbelief. The mother's gaze shifted to Kale. "Relax, son. Not every human means harm. Some speak before they think. It's part of who they are." Eli's chest filled with relief. He had survived the first social encounter without humiliation. Barely. The rest of the evening moved in a blur. Eli watched as Kale's mother interacted with guests. She was remarkable. She listened attentively, asked thoughtful questions, and somehow made everyone around her feel important. Eli had expected an intimidating figure, someone untouchable and severe. Instead, she was approachable, kind, and radiant. Eli tried to join in on conversations, but he couldn't help glancing at her whenever he could. Each time she smiled, it was like sunlight cutting through a cloudy sky. He felt small, insignificant, but also inspired, as if being around her reminded him of something he had forgotten. Humans could make a difference, not through power, but through presence, courage, and heart. He found himself next to Kale again. The boy was silent, arms crossed, watching Eli like a hawk. "You think joking about my mom is funny?" Kale asked. His tone was sharper than before, though not hostile. Eli scratched the back of his neck. I guess. I didn't mean any harm. I just said what I thought." Kale studied him, eyes narrowing slightly. "Most humans don't think. They just act. But you have guts. I'll give you that." Eli blinked. "Guts? That's a compliment?" Kale shrugged. "Maybe. Depends on whether you can survive the consequences." Eli laughed nervously. "I'll survive. Somehow." By the end of the night, Eli realized something strange. Despite his initial embarrassment, he felt accepted. Not fully, not yet, but partially. Kale's mother had shown him a kindness that transcended social rules, alien human differences, and awkward jokes. She had smiled at him, and that smile had meant more than he could explain. As the guests began to leave, the mother approached him. "Eli," she said softly, "humor is a gift. Courage is another. But the greatest gift humans bring is the ability to inspire hope in others. Never forget that." Eli swallowed hard. He nodded, though words failed him. He had never met someone who made him feel so small and so capable at the same time. "Good night," she added, smiling again, before turning to Kale. Kale shot him a glance, one that said, "Watch yourself next time." The next day, Eli walked through the colony's training fields, replaying the night in his mind. Every detail seemed sharper now. The way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, the calm authority in her voice, the way Kale had looked both protective and frustrated. Eli knew something had changed. He couldn't explain it yet, but he felt it deep inside, a spark of determination, the feeling that humans could matter here. And maybe, just maybe, he could be one of the ones to prove it. As he practiced flying maneuvers in the simulation dome, he kept thinking about the words she had said. Never forget that. 21. Eli didn't want to forget. The morning sun of New Solaria was soft but bright, casting long shadows over the colony's domes. Eli walked through the central plaza, his flight jacket unzipped, sleeves rolled up. He still felt the lingering effects of last night's encounter. The smile, the calm voice, the strange sense of respect that had followed him. Somehow, a single joke had opened a door he didn't even know existed. "Eli," a voice called from across the plaza. He turned to see Kale approaching, arms crossed and a skeptical frown on his face. Normally, Eli would brace himself for teasing or dismissal, but Kale only nodded slightly. "You're late for training," Kale said. His tone was clipped but not harsh. Eli grinned. "Maybe I have. Maybe I've been thinking about important things." Kale raised an eyebrow. "Important? Like your next bad joke?" Eli laughed. "No. Like humans. And why some of us are, well, more surprising than people expect." Kale blinked. Surprising? That word made him pause. He had always considered humans unpredictable, yes, but he had never thought of them as remarkable. Not until Eli. And not until last night. Training that day was tough. The simulators were more advanced than anything Eli had practiced on Earth. Alien-style spacecraft, designed for three-dimensional combat in the colony's strange gravitational fields, required precise coordination and sharp reflexes. Kale moved like a shadow, flawless, calm, and efficient. Eli, by contrast, relied on intuition, quick thinking, and sometimes Sheer luck. During one simulation, Kale's ship spun out of control during a sharp maneuver. Eli reacted instantly, adjusting his own ship to create a stable pattern that allowed Kale to regain control. The instructors were impressed. The solution was clever, even though it had been improvised. Not bad, Kale muttered after the exercise, almost grudgingly. You think differently from other humans. Eli's chest swelled with pride. Thanks. I try. But it wasn't just the exercises. Over the next few days, Eli began noticing small things about Kale's mother. She didn't just smile and inspire, she actively made the colony better. He saw her in the lab, fine-tuning water purification systems, speaking softly to alien plants in the greenhouse, and adjusting energy grids with a simple wave of her hand. Everything she touched seemed to improve. One afternoon, Eli gathered the courage to approach her while she worked in the garden. I don't understand, he said, voice low. How can you make everything better and make everyone feel calm at the same time? The woman paused, brushing soil from her hands. It's not magic, Eli, she said kindly. It's understanding. Understanding people. Understanding life. Humans have a unique gift we see. We improvise. We act with courage when others hesitate. Your people have energy that inspires. Humor, instinct, creativity. All of these things can change the world if you use them well. Eli frowned. But I'm just me. I make jokes. I make mistakes. That doesn't sound special. She smiled, just like last night. Sometimes, the smallest actions make the biggest difference. You think your jokes are just jokes, but they can break tension, ease fear, and remind people that there's hope. That's power, Eli. Real power. Eli's mind whirled. Could it be true? Could humans impulsive, messy, sometimes ridiculous humans really be capable of something the aliens couldn't measure? Kale appeared behind him, silent as ever. She's right, Kale said, almost reluctantly. Humans are unpredictable. That unpredictability, sometimes it's genius. Sometimes it's dangerous. But always, it changes the outcome. Eli glanced at him, half surprised that Kale would admit such a thing. You mean, humans can really be useful? Kale shrugged. Useful isn't the word I'd choose. Important. Sometimes more important than you realize. The weeks passed. Eli started paying more attention to the colony's routines, the alien technologies, and the ways humans could adapt. While alien systems were precise and efficient, they lacked flexibility. A human could look at a problem sideways, see a connection that a machine or a calculation couldn't. Eli began testing small ideas, new flight maneuvers, alternative energy routing, even methods to communicate with the hybrid alien plants in the greenhouse. Each experiment taught him more, and he noticed that Kale watched with interest, sometimes asking questions, sometimes quietly observing. One evening, as the twin suns began to set, Eli found himself back in the central plaza. Kale's mother was there, speaking to a group of young cadets. She was explaining how small gestures, patience, listening, encouragement could lead to significant results. Her audience hung on every word. Eli realized that humans didn't just have technical skills. They had empathy, creativity, humor, and courage, all working together. Eli, she called, noticing him. He approached nervously. I see you've been learning. I think I am, he said. I never realized. Humans could do more than I thought, not just survive, but really make a difference. She nodded. Yes. And sometimes the difference is visible immediately. And sometimes it takes years to understand. But it starts with willingness. Willingness to act, to risk, to care. Eli thought about his joke, the first one that had earned her smile. He realized that even small actions, even a simple moment of honesty, could shape perceptions, and open doors. Kyle approached silently. "You're learning fast," he said. "Faster than I expected." Eli smirked. "I guess I'm full of surprises." Kale's lips twitched almost a smile. "Sometimes," he said, "just sometimes, humans can teach aliens a lesson or two." The next day brought a real test. A sudden environmental anomaly struck the colony. A fluctuation in the atmospheric regulators caused rapid cooling in the living domes. Alarms blared, and panic rippled through the settlers. Kale's mother coordinated the response calmly. But the systems weren't responding as planned. The alien-designed regulators were precise but rigid, and they couldn't adapt quickly enough. Eli's mind raced. He remembered the experiments he had done in the greenhouse, the improvisations in the simulator, the small tweaks he had tried in energy rerouting. He ran to the main control hub, where engineers were frantically recalculating energy flows. "Stop," Eli shouted. "Let's try a human approach. Combine the energy channels differently, redistribute the load gradually, and adjust with small, instinctive changes." The engineers hesitated. Kale appeared beside Eli, watching silently. "It might work," Kale said finally, "but it's unconventional." Eli nodded. "I know, but we have to act fast." With trembling hands, Eli guided the engineers through his plan. Slowly, the systems responded. The temperature stabilized, the domes warmed, and the panic eased. Cheers rose from the colony as the danger passed. Kale's mother approached Eli, her smile wider than ever. "See?" she said. "Courage, instinct, creativity. You didn't just solve a problem, you inspired confidence. That's human power." Kale looked at him with newfound respect. "I underestimated humans," he admitted quietly. "You really are different and capable." Eli felt a swell of pride, mixed with humility. He had always thought humans were ordinary, just people trying to survive. But here, on this alien world, among advanced technology and calm, precise beings, he realized that humans carried something unique: adaptability, boldness, and the spark of life that no system could calculate. That night, Eli lay in his quarters, thinking about Kale's mother's words. Humor, courage, empathy, these were tools as powerful as any technology. And perhaps, he thought with a small grin, the joke he had made weeks ago wasn't just a joke. It had been a first step toward understanding. The galaxy was vast. Alien civilizations were advanced, precise, and formidable. But humans, unpredictable, messy, full of heart, could make a difference where others couldn't. And Eli knew, with quiet certainty, that he was just getting started. The following week brought calm at first. But Eli could feel tension under the surface of New Solaria. The environmental anomaly had passed, but subtle signs of strain were beginning to show. The terraformed domes had stabilized, but energy readings suggested the colony's systems were being pushed to their limits. The engineers worked tirelessly, yet there was no guarantee that the delicate balance would hold. Eli walked through the central hub, observing the monitors and screens. He noticed patterns the engineers hadn't seen, small fluctuations in the energy grids that could worsen if left unchecked. "Something's wrong," he muttered to himself. He had learned to trust his instincts. Humans might be unpredictable, but sometimes instinct was the best tool you had. Kale approached silently, as usual. "You're looking worried again," he said. His tone neutral, but edged with curiosity. "I think the colony might face another crisis," Eli admitted. "If the regulators fail again, we could have severe damage. Maybe even structural failure in the domes." Kale studied him carefully. "You want to try another human approach?" he asked, half smiling. "Your last idea worked, but this is bigger." Eli nodded. "Yes, but this time, It has to be more than instinct. We need a plan that uses both human improvisation and alien precision. They gathered a small team in the control hub, including engineers, scientists, and cadets. Kale's mother arrived shortly after, her calm presence instantly reassuring everyone. "What's the situation?" She asked. Eli explained what he had observed: the fluctuations, the potential domino effect on the dome structure, and the urgency to act quickly. She listened carefully, then turned to the team. "We will combine human intuition with systematic procedure," she said. "Eli, lead with your approach. Kale and the engineers will implement the technical adjustments." Eli felt a surge of responsibility. This was bigger than any simulation, bigger than any practice session. If he failed, it could be catastrophic. But he remembered her words from weeks ago. Courage, empathy, humor, and creativity could change outcomes. He drew a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "Here's what we'll do. The energy grids have too much load concentrated in a few channels. If we redistribute gradually, we can stabilize the system. But we need to monitor and adjust in real time, not rely on pre-programmed patterns." The engineers exchanged worried glances. "It's risky," one said. "Any miscalculation could overload the circuits." Eli smiled nervously. "I know, but humans survive because we take risks, think fast, and adapt. Let's combine that with your precision, and we'll be fine." Kale nodded. "Let's do it." The team worked tirelessly. Eli directed small adjustments, calling out changes as the system responded. The monitors flickered, showing both success and failure in rapid cycles. Sweat poured down his face, but he didn't stop. He improvised constantly, predicting how the energy would shift, and instructing the engineers accordingly. Suddenly, an unexpected surge hit the main regulator. Alarms blared, and lights flickered. The dome's temperature began to drop rapidly, ice forming on the inner surfaces. Panic threatened to rise, but Eli's mother stepped forward. "Focus. Remember what you've learned. Humanity is not about fear. It's about action." Eli's heart pounded. He recalculated instantly, rerouting some energy lines while asking Kale to manually stabilize the others. "Watch the feedback," he shouted. "Adjust if it spikes again." Kale followed his commands with precise efficiency. The engineers trusted Eli, even when some instructions seemed counterintuitive. Slowly, the temperature stabilized, and the ice began to melt. The alarms stopped, leaving only the low hum of working machinery. Everyone exhaled. Eli wiped his forehead and looked at the monitors. They were not perfect, but they were holding. The combination of human intuition and alien engineering had saved the day. Kale's mother approached him, her smile wider than ever. "Well done, Eli," she said. "You didn't just solve a problem, you led. You inspired confidence and courage in everyone here. That is the true measure of power." Eli felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time, he fully understood the words she had spoken weeks ago. Humans had something unique, an ability to act, to improvise, and to inspire hope in others. Even mistakes, when handled with courage, could become strengths. Kale studied him silently for a moment, then nodded. "You're not just lucky," he said quietly. "You really think like humans think, creatively, boldly. I've underestimated that." Eli grinned. "Thanks. I guess humans can surprise anyone, even aliens." The celebration afterward was subdued but meaningful. Colonists gathered in the plaza to recognize the efforts of the team. But Eli noticed something unexpected. People smiled at him with respect, not just amusement. Kale's mother came over and handed him a small device, a multifunctional tool she had been working on. "This is for you," she said. "Use it wisely." It's a reminder that courage, creativity, and human instinct are powerful tools. Never forget that, Eli. He accepted it humbly, realizing it wasn't just a tool for fixing machines. It was a symbol of trust, of acknowledgement, and of potential. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. He stared out of his quarters at the domes illuminated by the twin suns, thinking about what had happened. The crisis had shown him the value of human qualities, instinct, humor, and empathy. In a universe that often prized precision above all, humans were messy, unpredictable, and sometimes reckless. But they could achieve incredible things when they acted with courage and intelligence. The following days brought quiet reflection and learning. Eli spent more time with Kyle and his mother, observing how they approached problems and people. He began combining human creativity with alien techniques in small projects, testing new flight patterns, experimenting with energy rerouting, and improving communication systems with subtle improvisations. Kyle watched closely, sometimes skeptical, sometimes intrigued. "You're getting better at this," Kyle admitted one afternoon. "Faster thinking, quicker adjustments. Humans really do have an advantage in unpredictability." Eli laughed. "You mean my mistakes are useful?" Kyle shrugged, smiling faintly. "Sometimes mistakes are the best teachers." Eli felt a surge of pride. For weeks, he had doubted himself, thinking humans were ordinary in a galaxy filled with precision and perfection. Now, he understood that human uniqueness was a strength. The ability to adapt, to improvise, to inspire, these were qualities no machine or alien system could replicate fully. One evening, he visited the greenhouse, where Kale's mother was tending to the alien plants. The plants seemed to respond to her presence, growing faster and healthier than before. "I've been thinking," Eli said, "about what you told me about courage, humor, and inspiration." She looked at him, her expression calm and knowing. "Yes? I think humans are maybe the most adaptable species I've ever seen," he said. "We make mistakes, but we keep trying. We improvise. We act when others hesitate. And we inspire others without even realizing it." She smiled. "Exactly. And that is why humans can survive, thrive, and lead in ways others cannot. Remember, Eli, this is just the beginning. The galaxy will test you. But if you trust your instincts, act with courage, and keep your humanity, you will succeed." Eli felt a quiet determination settle within him. The challenge had been greater than any simulation, but he had survived and helped others do the same. He realized that the future of the colony, maybe even humanity's place among the stars, depended not just on technology, but on people like him. Human, unpredictable, and bold. As he looked up at the stars, Eli knew that more challenges were coming. But he was ready. The galaxy could throw anything at him, and he would meet it with courage, humor, and creativity. For the first time, he truly felt proud to be human. The colony of New Solaria had changed. Small improvements in technology, new flight patterns, and energy management systems reflected Eli's ideas. But more than that, the people had changed. Humans and alien descendant families were beginning to trust each other, and the human settlers were no longer seen as merely outsiders. Eli walked through the central plaza, feeling a quiet pride. Kale was beside him, silent as usual. But there was a subtle ease in his posture that hadn't been there before. They passed families who waved, cadets who nodded respectfully, and engineers who smiled. For the first time, Eli felt like humans really belonged here not because of their machines, but because of their courage, creativity, and willingness to act when others hesitated. The twin suns were high, casting green-gold light over the domes. Eli knew that the next challenge would not come from simulations or experiments, it would come from the unknown. The galaxy was full of surprises, and humans had earned their place by being unpredictable in the best way. Kale spoke, breaking the comfortable silence. Your people, they really do inspire, don't they? He said quietly. Even when we doubt, we can't help noticing. It's strange, but impressive. Eli grinned. Yeah, I guess we do. And sometimes, a joke is just the first step. Kale shook his head, but there was a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Maybe I underestimated the value of humor and instinct. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of alarms. Red lights blinked across the plaza, and control screens flashed warnings. Eli's stomach tightened. After weeks of relative calm, something new was happening. The environmental monitors indicated a sudden and severe storm approaching the colony from the outer atmosphere. Unlike the anomalies before, this storm was massive, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous to the domes and life inside. The automated systems tried to compensate, but the readings showed that if the storm struck at full force, parts of the colony could be damaged. Eli's heart raced. He had trained for emergencies, but this was different. The challenge wasn't just technical. It required courage, decision-making, and human instinct in real time. Kale's mother appeared in the control hub moments later, calm as ever. We have limited time, she said. The storm is fast and changing constantly. We will need every mind, every instinct, and every human insight we can gather. Eli felt the familiar surge of determination. He looked at Kale, then at the team of engineers and cadets. We can do this, he said firmly. But we have to act together, humans and aliens, instinct and precision, creativity and calculation. Kale nodded. Lead the human approach, he said. We'll combine it with technical control. Entem. The operation began. Eli directed efforts to reinforce the energy grids and dome shields, making real-time adjustments as the storm shifted. His instincts guided him in ways the automated systems couldn't anticipate. He noticed small changes in wind patterns and energy feedback, and he called out corrections instantly. Meanwhile, Kyle and the engineers implemented Eli's suggestions with technical precision. The domes began to stabilize. But there were still dangerous fluctuations. The storm raged closer, lightning crackling against the protective fields. The team moved quickly, trusting both calculation and instinct. Eli noticed a weak spot near the southern dome. Without hesitation, he ran outside to adjust an external stabilizer manually. Kale followed, providing support and monitoring the technical aspects remotely. The winds howled, but Eli gritted his teeth and worked swiftly, improvising where necessary. A surge of energy hit the stabilizer, threatening to overload the system. Eli thought quickly, rerouting a secondary power line to relieve the pressure. Sparks flew, but the system held. He exhaled, sweat and grime covering his face. Kale gave him a sharp nod, approval, respect, and trust all combined. Inside the control hub, the rest of the team adjusted other sections of the energy grids, following Eli's instincts but applying their own expertise. The domes groaned under the storm, but they did not break. Human courage and alien precision worked together, and slowly, the worst of the storm passed. When the alarms finally ceased, the hub was silent, except for the hum of machinery. Eli wiped his brow and turned to Kale's mother, who was smiling broadly. You did it, she said. All of you. This is what I have been trying to show. Humans inspire action, courage, and hope. You didn't just react, you led, and that is why humans matter in the galaxy. Kale approached Eli, a rare full smile on his face. I underestimated your people, he admitted. Humans are incredible. You improvise, adapt, and act when others hesitate. You inspire. Eli chuckled. Guess it takes a crisis to prove it. Kale shook his head, laughing softly. Maybe. Or maybe it just takes the right person to remind us of it. Over the next days, the colony recognized the team's efforts. Humans were no longer seen as outsiders who stumbled through mistakes. They were valued for their courage, creativity, and unique instincts. Eli's leadership, boldness, and humor had not only saved the colony but also inspired others to trust and collaborate across species boundaries. Eli spent more time with Kale's mother, learning from her calm wisdom. She showed him ways to combine human instincts with alien precision in daily life, in engineering, agriculture, and education. Eli realized that the galaxy was vast, and there would always be unknown challenges. But humans had something no machine or alien calculation could replicate: the courage to act, the creativity to improvise, and the ability to inspire hope in others. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Eli stood in the greenhouse with Kale and his mother. The alien plants glowed faintly in the twilight, thriving under her careful attention. "I understand now," Eli said quietly. "Humans, we can survive anywhere. We can adapt, and we can inspire." She smiled warmly. "Yes, Eli. And you will teach others to do the same. That is your legacy, not just survival, but leadership, courage, and humanity." Kale nodded. "You've changed my perspective. Humans really are remarkable. I'm glad I was wrong about you." "When of the realm, Criclio." Kale nodded. "When the seventh." Kale nodded. "Remarkable. I'm glad I was wrong about you." Eli laughed. "Thanks. And you've changed mine, too. Aliens aren't just precise. You're capable of learning, too, if you're open to it." The next day, Eli looked out at the colony, the domes sparkling in the morning light. He realized that the joke he had made weeks ago, the one about Kale's mother, had started something bigger than he could have imagined. It had opened doors, sparked trust, and revealed that humans had qualities that were rare and valuable. Humor, courage, empathy, creativity. These were not just traits. They were tools of survival and leadership. Eli knew that the galaxy would continue to challenge him and his people. Unknown storms, alien worlds, and unforeseen crises would come. But he also knew that humans had something powerful that no one could take away: the ability to inspire, adapt, and act with courage. As he walked through the central plaza one last time before heading to training, he saw Kale, cadets, engineers, and families all moving together in harmony. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were part of something larger, a symbol of hope, ingenuity, and the power of heart in a universe that often valued only precision and rules. Eli smiled to himself. The galaxy was vast and full of unknowns, but humans were ready. And perhaps, he thought, sometimes a single joke, a simple, honest, bold statement, could start a legacy that reached across worlds. He looked at Kale's mother one final time, and she smiled back. Eli returned the smile, understanding completely now what she had been teaching him all along. Courage, humor, creativity, and the ability to inspire, these were human strengths, and they could change the galaxy. The twin suns rose again, and Eli felt ready for whatever the future held. The storm had passed, the colony was safe, and humanity had proven its worth. And Eli knew that this was only the beginning of the legacy he and his people would leave among the stars.